Is there anyone behind you guys?
Nope. Okay, I see my quality. Perfect. Okay, so this down right below this dam here begins Encantado Pool. It runs down to where we park the trucks. It goes right up against the bank over there. When we have flow in the river, it's one of our better habitats. When we don't, it's death. So the shots you saw of the really turbid water that look like glacial water, that's from that pool over there because everything dries up except for that. So all creatures go there and they hang out and they, so those that can survive. Trout don't. So beavers go there, carp go there, bass go there, and then it becomes this wild frenzy, and as a result, the water is just super churned up, and it's just bad water quality. It's got some interesting plant life down at the bottom in there that I'll show on my talk on Friday. That is really different than anywhere else we see, so it's an interesting spot there. Anyway, this beaver dam, this pond was completely dry before the water rights releases happened. I mean, no water whatsoever. But I haven't seen any recent chews on here, and I don't see any around on all the different leg impalement elements that you see over here, these daggers coming up out of the ground. So it could be that we've lost all the beavers in here. I know that they're just down the slope here because the beaver dam right where we park is brand new. So that's active down there. Whether they're up here or not, sometimes you can tell there's like a little thoroughfare going right over the top or around the sides. I don't really, maybe right there. So it's probably they're going through here. We probably got 4, 5, 6 down there. There's another beaver dam of the same size, if not larger, right around the corner, about 200 yards upstream here. So this, I didn't want to take her way up there, it's too complicated to get there. So this is a really great example of where does all the material come from? Right along next to the riparian corridor here. And interestingly enough, they're chewing at a certain height, and that's not because they are adept at standing on their back legs, it's because the pool normally is up to knee height here. Normally it's going right through the very top. And because one, there's not much flow, and two, they're not actively working on this dam, it's down lower, and they would have been cutting by floating here versus being dry like this. So at 2.5 CFS target flow to 154 bridge, that's not designed to put water down here. That's designed to put water from that bridge up. So what you see here is the remnants of that and whatever left over from the storm we had on March 1st. It was a pretty significant storm. So is this habitat going to dry out this summer? Yep. Unless something happens. Now, the chances of another water rights release are pretty high, even though that lake's down low, but they still have some water in their accounting, so they can do something of a 10,000 acre-foot release. So we're probably looking at end of July. We'll have another one, and the lake will plummet even more than it already is. So that's the reality of a perturbed system that's managed with different types of water rights going in play here.
So what exactly triggers the water release?
For a water rights release, it has to do with how the wells are holding up down in Lompoc. So on the Lompoc Plain, so if the wells are dropping, the phreatic surface, the groundwater table is dropping, or they're sucking air, they will call for a release. And since they have senior water rights, we gotta have a release. So.
At what level does the dam have to be until they say no more releases?
It's not a matter of level; it's a matter of their accounting, how much they have in their accounts. And if they have water left, like they've got about 12,000 acre feet now, then they have the right to release that regardless of the level to a certain point. There is a point at, well, Curtis, correct me if I'm wrong, but at 30,000 acre feet, I don't know if they can take a water rights release.
Yeah, they could still.
So there's a certain minimum storage. It's referred to as the dead pool, which is not really the right term for it, but It's the minimum pool that you can't go down below that, and that's by contract. That's really, really old. So some people say, well we gotta alter that. We need to take more water for our lawns and all of our houses. You know, you're talking about some really old contracts that have a lot of signatures on them. It's going to be a long fight to make that change. So I doubt we'll go down below that. I'm hoping. We're supposedly heading into an El Nino cycle.
So with the lake being so low, you said it was somewhat unprecedented, at least in your time here. Is there a concern about releasing warm water into the system in July and any trout that might be hanging out here over the summer in thermal refugia sort of?
Certainly a concern of mine, but when it comes to groundwater recharge, they're not concerned about it. The water that is released is coming from the bottom of the lake, so there is a chance that you're going to have cooler water. The lake stratifies really strongly over the summer, so you do have that warm on the top that's isolating the cool on the bottom. This lake is like clockwork. Stratifies over the summer, builds until we start to get some cooler temperatures in the fall. You know, it's a third week in October, you get a little wind event and the lake turns over and it goes unithermal top to bottom. Yeah.
One interesting thing about this beaver dam, I think, is that it extends all the way up here. Usually they'll dam off the stream bed and then spread the water out. But I guess probably because it gets so dry here that they actually tried stopping the water from going down this overflow area and tried to maintain it over here and made this perpendicular turn on their dam that runs all the way up.
Well, this is a medium flow channel right here. The high flow channel is over in that field over there. So if you're gonna pond any water at all, you got to do the whole thing. And so these guys this is all beaver dam, right? That everybody's standing on is part of a long-standing beaver dam that gets rebuilt and worked regularly.
Tim, do you guys do any monitoring of the riparian vegetation? Like mapping the heights at various places?
No.
Just sort of see if it's going up or down or staying close?
No, it would be interesting to do that. It'd be interesting to look at corridor cover, riparian cover right along associated close to the stream, because that's the part that's most important to Salmonid. If beavers were nice enough to cut back there, then it would be no big deal. But if they're cutting right over your canopy and providing shade, that's a little more of a concern. But, I mean, here you can see, you know, it's probably no big deal. But yeah, that's another interesting metric that we might want to consider looking at. There are other places where they're taking bigger trees that really go over the top, and they're dropping those trees into the water. So great in-stream large woody debris, but if we lose our shape, which is a bit of a concern.
Hey Tim, do you have any wells or piezometers that are measuring hyporheic exchange here?
No.
No. Yeah, I just, because we were talking about this kind of this armor, the cobble bed and everything, and then if you're not having a lot of big flows, it just strikes me that you might be limiting your ability of the system to be exchanging with the alluvial groundwater. And I don't know if there's any way to manage for that, but when you have big flows, that just strikes me as one of the considerations is to have a flow sufficient to mobilize the bed and cause a little churning, maybe break up some of that armoring, which could help with the temperature, among other things, and gravels as well.
Those big channel alternating events happen, I don't know the frequency is, but probably every 5, 6, 10 years. 2011 was one of those. At 25,000 CFS coming out of that dam, the water here was way overhead. So if you notice when we drove down and got onto the river bottom there was a fence that had been flattened. There was water all through there. So you can imagine it was probably over 10 feet deep here and ripping through here enough to push that fence over. So, but the unfortunate part of that sort of situation is that if you're into hydrology, that was a up and down fast. And so it didn't stay up very long. We had some issues on managing that storm peak. We should have started a little earlier on the release. you know, it's really tricky on when do you start releasing water, because you want to capture as much surcharge up in the lake as you can, and if you release early, you're releasing it earlier than it's on the ground, because once it gets on the ground, it comes off fast. So we've been burned before where we go, oh, 10-inch storm coming in, let's start her up, and then the storm diverts, and then, oh Jesus, quick, you know, stop. We took, what, 8 to 10 feet off that lake one time, and the storm never materialized. That was a bad situation. So this last time, we tried to use that, wait, and I was like on the phone, go, you know, it's happening, what are you doing? Come on. And then finally they released too late, so they had to let out more to be able to deal with the fact that it was coming down really hard down that river. And so as a result, we probably went 5, maybe 8,000 CFS too high. So we could have taken the top off the hydrograph, dampened the hydrograph, and then we would have avoided some of the flooding that happened downstream. But I tell you, it's not easy, and I don't blame reclamation for that. It's just that these things are complicated, and it's not so straightforward.